Welcome to British Biomedicine Institute. Today I, Dr. Pramod Khatri, is going to represent a simple topic named as bleeding disorders. So what is it? Basically, bleeding disorder is an acquired or inherited tendency to bleed excessively. So there are various factors which are responsible, like factor 8, factor 9, factor 7, factor 5, factor 2 and factor 8. So these factor they helps in coagulation of they helps in clotting of the blood. So now comes the mechanism of bleeding. Basically it can be due to vascular integrity, platelets, clotting factors or fibrinolysis, and if there is a dearrangement of any of these factors, they can lead to abnormal bleeding. So basically at the time of bleeding disorders, we have to check whether there is an epistaxis or gingival hemorrhage or mucosal bleeding, heavy menses are there, childbirth, it can happen due to childbirth also, if there is an easy bruisability, bleeding following tooth extraction also, hematoma, bleeding following surgery and hemoarthrosis. So these are the various factors through which bleeding can occur. So there are n number of medicines which are available, and particularly we use aspirin, warfarin, NSAIDs, beta-lactam antibiotics, clopidogrel or other antiplatelet agents and herbal medications. And there are also nutritional histories. If there is a deficiency of vitamin K, vitamin C or excessive use of broad spectrum antibiotics, then there can also be excessive bleeding. Bleeding can also happen due to heredity, if it is inherited from parents to the child. Basically, if there is a deficiency of coagulation factor, like example here is hemophilia, fibrinogen deficiency or VWD, von Willebrand disease. If there is a platelet disorders, it can lead to a disease named as Glanzmann thromboasthenia, Burnett-Saulier syndrome or platelet granule disorder. And if there is a deficiency of fibrinolytic disorders, it can lead to alpha-2 antiplasmin deficiency or PAI1 deficiency. If there is a structural disorders, it can lead to hemorrhagic telangiectasis or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It can also be due to acquired. If there is a, like for example, thrombocytopenia, there is a liver disease, renal failure, vitamin K deficiency, acquired antibiotic to coagulation factors, DIC, drugs and vasculars. These are the acquired model for bleeding. So in order to check your bleeding status, we have to check the platelet count first, and we have to also check your BT, bleeding time. Basically it is the measurement of interaction of platelet with blood vessel wall. And the thrombocytopenia, if the platelet blood count is below 50,000 microliter, and if the quantitative platelet abnormality is there, like uremia or von Willebrand disease or vascular purpura or severe fibrinogen deficiency is there. Under PT, prothrombin time, basically we measure the extrinsic pathway, and it is basically a common pathway for checking the PT, prothrombin time. And we have to bypass the intrinsic pathway and use thromboplastin to substitute for platelets. Within the combined pathway, factor number 8, factor number 10 and prothrombin are vitamin K dependent, and they can be altered with the use of warfarin. Under the prolonged PT, if suppose there is a vitamin K deficiency, liver disease, which decrease the synthesis of both vitamin K dependent and independent clotting factor. Deficiency or inhibition of factor 8, 10, 2, we can say factor 2 is your prothrombin, and factor number 5 or fibrinogen. If there is an infrequent antiphospholipid antibodies like lupus anticoagulant phenomena with antiprothrombin activity, and heparin doesn't prolong the prothrombin time. APTT. Basically, here we measure the intrinsic and it is the common pathway for the coagulation. Use partial prothrombin as they are incapable of activating the extrinsic pathway. It can prolong the deficiency of or an inhibition to any of the clotting factor except factor number 7. It can also prolong in the presence of lupus anticoagulants, and it is used to monitor your heparin activity. Prothrombin time is basically the measurement which convert the fibrinogen to the fibrin monomer and the formation of initial clot by the thrombin. And for this, if there is suppose here hypofibrinogemia or dysfibrinogenes, or if there is an increased fibrin split product, or if there is a heparin, can also increase your TT but not your RT. Now comes if there is a factor deficiency or inhibitors, then there will be a prolonged APTT, which can be due to a deficiency or absence of coagulation factors or the presence of coagulation factor inhibitor. And there are, if suppose lupus, for example, like lupus anticoagulants, they can result in prolonged APTT, which is not correctable by the addition of normal plasma. Overcoming by adding excessive platelet phospholipids, particularly a hexagonal phase phospholipid, or by assessing the diluted Russell-Viper venom time. Now comes fibrinolysis. Basically, fibrin or fibrinogen degradation product (FDP) are the proteins which helps in fragmentation of the plasmin on fibrin or fibrinogen. So basically, plasminogen is being degraded into plasmin, and whereas thrombin will be degraded into the fibrin or fibrin degraded products. Fibrolysis. FTP assay do not differentiate between fibrin degradation products and fibrinogen degradation products. Fibrin D-dimer are degradation product of cross-linked fibrin. D-dimer specifically reflect fibrinolysis of cross-linked fibrin, or we can say fibrin clot, so are more reliable indicator for the thrombosis. And for fibrinolysis, we can assay for plasminogen, TPA, or we can say tissue plasminogen activator, or we can use alpha-2 antiplasmin or PIA1 or plasminogen activator inhibitor, or TAF1 thrombin activator fibrinolysis inhibitor. So now comes the difference between normal PT and a PTT. So if there is a chances of suppose thrombocytopenia or von Willebrand disease or factor 13 deficiency, platelet dysfunction, and if there is a vascular purpura or if there is a psychogenic purpura, then they can help in fluctuation of your normal PTT or PT. So if there is a basically normal PT but prolonged APTT, it can be due to hemophilia A, hemophilia B, factor 11 deficiency, factor 8 deficiency like your malignancies, clonal lymphoproliferative disorders, your pregnancies or rheumatological disorders. They can lead to normal PT but prolonged APTT. If there is a prolonged PT but normal APTT, it can be due to factor 8 deficiency, due to warfarin therapy or early liver disease, or it can also be due to early DIC. If there is prolonged PT and PTT, it can be due to vitamin K deficiency, liver disease, warfarin treatment, acquired inhibition to factor 5, factor X deficiency seen in basically amyloidosis or DIC. Hemophilia. Hemophilia is basically a X-linked recessive disorder, and it is of two types, A and B, and it is basically a severe disease, and it is prevalent in less than 1% of population, and in moderate disease it is found in 1 to 5%, and for mild disease it is prevalent in more than 5%. The most common site are the joints and muscles and from gastrointestinal tract. Treatment. So basically two component to therapy are treatment of active bleeding and inhibitor ablation via immune tolerance indication. And cryoprecipitates have higher level of factor number 8. They can be protein factor number 8, recombinant human factor 8, and the choice for factor 8 product usually is based upon the safety, purity and the cost. Now comes a disease named as VWD, von Willebrand disease. Basically, it is the most common inherited bleeding disorder, and in 1926, Erich von Willebrand described the first patient with this disease. VWF, von Willebrand factor, it binds to both the platelets and endothelial components, forming an adhesive bridge between platelet and vascular subendothelial structures and between adjacent platelet at the site of endothelial injury. So basically it can be acquired by malignant disease if suppose there is a use of monoclonal gammopathy of unknown significance, multiple myeloma, non-Hodgkin lymphoma, chronic lymphatic leukemia, Waldenstrom microglobulinemia, essential thrombocythemia, polycythemia vera, or chronic myelogenous leukemia (CML), or Williams tumor or other carcinomas. And it can also be due to immunological disorders like your SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus, or other autoimmune disorders. It can be inherited with various disorders like your hypothyroidism, ventricular septal defect, also aortic stenosis, mitral valve prolapse, gastrointestinal angiodysplasia, uremia, or hemoglobinopathy. And there are also drugs and other agents like your valproic acid and antibiotics. All these can lead to acquired von Willebrand disease. Treatment. We can use desmopressin. We can also replace von Willebrand factor. We can use EACA, epsilon amikaproic acid. Tranexamic acid can also be used, or we can use recombinant factor number 7 for the treatment of VWD. So this is all about the presentation. I hope you have gained a lot of clinical information through this presentation. Please like, share, subscribe our YouTube channel named as British Biomedicine Institute. Good luck. Goodbye.